Welcome back to the kfiles. Today we are talking about home. We're back in the Lush Basement office. I'm your host, Katie Moeller. You can find me at kmoles on all social medias.
And I'm your co-host, Kryzzalia. You can find me at Kryzzalia on all social medias. And we're coming at you live right here at HollywoodRedux.com.
Subscribe below. Subscribe.
Sweet. What are we talking about today, Katie?
We're talking about home today.
That's right.
Home. We went home again. Now we're home.
I didn't want to go to that home, though, to be honest. That was pretty disturbing.
Right, home again was kind of nice compared to going home.
I cannot see that, so...
Yeah, I know. Well, so what was the most disturbing image for you?
Maybe when we start off and you just see them burying a baby.
Sure, that's awful.
We don't even know if they were like dead or alive. We find out they were buried alive and they died. Fucked up. That's it.
That's the monster.
That's already just like the top of the iceberg there.
That's the monster right there. I mean, that's the monstrous product of the monster is that there are these like poor sad souls that aren't given proper vehicles.
So I appreciate the warning ahead of time for watching the episode.
Yeah, well, it was the first episode of the XFiles historically that had a disclaimer on it
I didn't know that
of disturbing content.
I had no idea.
Well, at the time it came out, and I mean the fourth season was in the mid '90s, and so I mean this was new territory for television for sure. Yeah, for sure.
First of all, I can't believe they actually showed that type of gruesomeness on television.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible, and so it's written by a dynamic duo, one of the most dynamic duos in TV writing.
Good duo.
James Wong and Glen Morgan, brother to Darren Morgan, recent star of Small Potatoes. And so these guys have written some pretty killer episodes, but I happen to think that Home is the most
that was pretty
sharp
and most disturbing to sit through. So it was very good, guys. Nicely done.
Yeah, there was a lot of violence in it. And it's a small town.
Oh.
In this small town.
True.
And Home.
True. Very true. I was going to say, not really, but, now looking back, there actually was a lot of violence. I take that back. So.
Well, it's funny because when they first meet Sheriff Taylor, of course there's the Mayberry jokes abound. That's kind of a hallmark too of these writers. Chris Carter does this also, these references to, I think it seems like TV shows they liked in their adolescence. But when the sheriff meets Mulder and Scully, he tells them, "Oh, it's such a nice town. We love living here. This is our home. We don't even lock our doors. It's such a safe town." Meanwhile, in the background of that shot, while he's saying that, is the Peacock House and the brothers out on the Peacock House, and they look really menacing, and so we're seeing already that Mulder and Scully are seeing the evil right away, and we have already seen in the teaser sequence the monstrous thing that is there, so we know like this guy's blind. This guy's not seeing.
The way they capture your attention directly to the background was very, very subtle and very well done. So How do you come up with an episode like that? First of all,
well, if you think about Home again, you can reverse engineer it where they were meditating there on this problem of in our society of homeless people, of homelessness, and of wanting to not deal with the problem as a society, but either throw money at it or just get them out of the way, like handle it in these other ways that aren't dealing it with the causes of it, really, is what it is. You don't deal with the causes, you deal with the symptom. You put a Band-Aid on it. That's why Garbage Man had the Band-Aid nose, Garbage
Man was a good monster.
Well, you can't put a Band-Aid on it forever. Sometimes you end up with a monster that walks around with it on its nose. So anyway, but in this episode in Home, so you can what my point was, you can reverse engineer what they were meditating on kind of when they wrote this. And so in Home, we're seeing a different kind of human refuse. We're seeing sick babies, deformed babies. So you can trace that back to bad mothers. And we know Mrs. Peacock, the mother in question, was probably the worst mother.
Mrs. Peacock.
Is a frightening mother to behold.
Mrs. P.
I mean, can you... Well, I'm frightened of either James Wong or Glen Morgan. I'm leaning toward James Wong.
I think so, too.
Whose psyche that sprang from, because he comes up with some of the scariest monsters. And she is one of the most frightening monsters that haunts my psyche as a result of the X-Files. That scary mother who has really frightening notions of what it means to... What family means, what tradition means.
Family roots, man. Like,
right, so it's... But this monster reflects some aspect of the world, you know, that's what we're meant to see in the story.
Right.
And when you look at it that way, you see that the unwillingness to change or consider new thought or to accept new technology, essentially a fear of change is what we're talking, is the monster here, a fear of change. Because Mrs. Peacock has kept things going basically since the Civil War. Things have been going in this family like this, and she has proudly kept this going in the face of what it's doing to her family. So fear of change in the face of, but this thing is killing you, is making your babies have these terrible ailments. So why you have to change, or else you're running the human species into the ground.
Right.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, well I was gonna say was the ending line when they actually drive off with her, the mother, Mrs. Peacock, and
The brothers, Edmund,
I guess, but there's only one brother left, correct?
Well,
it seemed like there was only one brother left in the car.
So the unfortunately, the way it shook down was Mrs. Peacock was the mother of one of the brothers, and then the mother of the other two, and the one brother was the father of the other two.
Oh, that's right. That whole fucking family web.
Well, that's when that's what you know, and you're afraid of. You're so unwilling to choose change. That's what happens. That's what is a deformity of humans.
Well, the reason why I brought that ending scene up was because the line that she says at the very end, where it says it's time to go and start a new family, like let's go have some more deformed babies, is what she's saying. Yeah. It won't stop. Like,
well, that's an unwillingness to change. That's the you can't help the man who won't help himself. You can't help the mother who won't help herself. They tried, when they pulled her out from under the bed, she wheeled herself back under. She chose that. That's what she chose. That's the life that she chose.
That was a really good scare, by the way.
What's not okay is when that was a good
scare. It was a good reveal.
Good call. But what's not okay is when your unwillingness to change is now hurting other people. So like their ways are now causing horrible violence to the people of the town. So now the town has to take care of it. That's the thing. So now if you are so unwilling to give something attention, to give a problem attention, then it's going to keep becoming more and more of a problem until it starts murdering you in your home.
Absolutely.
Literally, like that's what happened to the sheriff. So it's a hard. I mean, that's what happened in Home Again too. Remember the one lady who was leading the, I forget, whatever, the uppity lady with all the Keurig cups.
Yes.
I mean that's how she went down. So it's a message that is about cause and effect, about what you choose and about what chooses you as a result of that choice. What the wave you create, essentially.
Nicely said, Katie. Nicely said.
I am just
Just spreading the X-Files gospel, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Can we do the part over? You have the mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Spreading the X-Files gospel.
Right on.
But so let's talk about Mulder and Scully, though. We're talking about the writers, but let's talk about.
I wonder what they must have felt like seeing all that. Well, because they actually thought it was a kidnapped woman, right? They didn't even think that Mrs. Peacock existed.
They didn't know, yeah.
The first bit of the storyline.
Yeah. Well, she was assumed dead. That's what they say. They assumed she died, but she did not. Yeah.
That's a case that.
So, but the fear of change. So the fear of change is the monster, and then how does that manifest in Mulder and Scully is what I guess we should probably look at when we're examining the characters and the relationship. So the fear of change for these two, of course, is to let their relationship change, and that's a relationship that is both romantic, of course, as we always love to talk about, but also their work relationship too, which is paramount to both of them, which is so important to both of them. The work is both of their lives. And Scully makes a very big point of saying that, especially later on, where it is her work, it is her life she has chosen to share with Mulder. And as she thinks that that is a worthy calling, and if Scully deems that a worthy calling, then that's when you get them, Milagro. That's the miracle. But anyway, the fear of change here is that they're both still pulling apart from each other. You can see it because, like, when I forget what Mulder does, but Mulder has outbursts. Mulder makes jokes. Oh, like when they're in the pig pen and he says, "Is it weird if I tell you I'm turned on right now?" She gives him the dirtiest look. It's because, like, they don't understand each other quite yet. They're not in harmony. You know, they're still, like, kind of pulling apart in
good
weird ways.
timing on that one, Mulder.
Yeah, well, she doesn't get his humor yet. She's still getting used to his humor.
Right.
And by the end, she loves his humor because it's his humor. And also, we love his humor because he's adorable. And when he delivers it, he's so adorable. And especially in the 4th season when he has floppy hair. You gotta...
So how adorable is he, Katie?
Oh, geez. Well, there's no scale to grade Mulder's adorableness.
Just
and
to
especially in the
clarify.
4th season. I mean, it's madness.
So it just progresses from there?
There is a wonderful arc to Mulder's hair that has been well explored on Tumblr that can be found. But anyway, so fear of change for the characters, and so their investigative styles are always different. So that's one way where they're still kind of pulling apart because their investigative styles have always been different, but they used to butt heads over it.
Yes,
like Scully used to think that Mulder ditched her all the time, which he kind of does, but she now sees that it's because he didn't think he could trust her. So once they found trust, which happened kind of 3rd season-ish, and Memento Mori, of course, when Scully had cancer and everything, that's a big trust.
That's a whole different...
That's a big time trust for them.
Yes.
So they're still working through trust stuff in the 4th season. But once trust is solidified between them, then Scully knows if he's leaving, there's probably a good reason. Eventually she gets to this point. I mean, it takes a lot.
I mean, she'll still call him to find out and check in where he is, but yeah, so far there is trust.
Well, she's worried about him more than anything when that happens.
Yes, very true.
She just knows that he sometimes doesn't think about the best thing for safety. He always thinks about the best thing for solving the case and finding the truth. Really, is what is Mulder's modus operandi from Prime Directive,
right?
You know, and so she gets that eventually. Like she sees, like, okay, well, he's just trying to pursue the case, but he also learns too later on. He gets to be better at acknowledging her and including her and not necessarily ditching her so much as just like saying, like, I gotta do this, you know. And then they understand each other a little bit better. But we're not there yet. We're in the 4th season.
No, it takes forever to get there.
Yeah, and but I mean, you know, the thing by the end of it, and also, well, they're also getting to know each other a little bit better too, in a fun way. And that's, you know, there's a little bit of like flirting, local romance there, where they're talking about, you know, having kids essentially, and they're talking about, you know, Scully being a mother, and he kind of makes fun of her, but it's kind of sweet too. And it's like in Small Potatoes, they were not understanding each other, and Mulder had to be impersonated by somebody to get to know Scully. Now they're actually talking. Like, you get the feeling Mulder learns lessons. Yeah, they're more
communicating as partners and potentially what could be
like maybe the lesson Mulder learned in Small Potatoes is that you have to maybe listen a little bit better to know the person better, to be better in tune with them. And so he picks that and does that in this episode.
Yeah, he did get told, enjoy a little bit, man, loosen up. So like, there you go.
Well, what else do you think about Home? That's the story, really, is the relationship.
Well, Home, very disturbing to watch. A very good story, very well written, but I would like to watch it again, because the first time I actually kept looking away a couple of scenes where I was like, this might be a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, it was directed by Kim Manners, we should also say, the late Kim Manners, who is one of the very finest directors to have ever worked in entertainment, period. I say that because he's a better director than a lot of film directors. Really, he is. He taught me a lot, for sure, and is still teaching me. In these episodes, I see so much that I'm, like, stealing, just, you know, like, writing them down to steal. So, we offer it up to Kim. This episode for Kim. That's it for Home. Thank you for listening. Please stay tuned. We have so much going on at Hollywood Redux.
A lot coming your way, guys. So
I'm Katie Moeller. I'm Katie Moeller. You can find me at KMoles on all social medias.
I'm your co-host Kryzzalia, and you can find me at Kryzzalia on all social medias.
Subscribe below to Hollywood Redux
or wherever there. Whatever.
Subscribe below. It's a UFO flying around. No, that's too much for our visual effects artists. Sorry, no, it's just gonna be a button.
That was a really good idea, though.
No, are you still subscribe though? But the point is subscribe. Do you remember Pig Latin? Subscribe, say. That's a good one.
No, but I just learned something new. Love it.